Thank goodness for him. Human rights and press freedom groups called the charges a straightforward attempt to intimidate and retaliate against Greenwald and The Intercept for their critical reporting on key government officials. In this video Thursday, Greenwald, who worked as a constitutional attorney for the U.S. for a decade before entering journalism, also via The Intercept, will continue to report on the archive that provoked criminal charges and thanked everyone from the world who has expressed solidarity for him and his colleagues in Brazil. So here he is talking about this.
Hey everyone, this is Glenn Greenwald with The Intercept, and as some of you probably have heard, there was a decision today in Brazil in a case of the criminal charges brought against me for the reporting we've been doing about corruption at the highest levels of the Bolsonaro government, and the judge in the case rejected the criminal charges brought against me on the ground that a prior ruling from the Supreme Court prohibits those charges. Last year, the primary object of our reporting, President Bolsonaro's Justice Minister Sergio Moro had several of the agencies under his control initiate investigations into me.
Yeah, so that's pretty much Glenn Greenwald explaining what happened. He can do a lot better than I can, so I encourage you to go check him out. He's really methodical in laying out some of his work. All right. I do want to get to this about Medicare For All quickly before we go here. Trump says covering immigrants would bankrupt our country's healthcare system. That's a lot. This is Adam Gaffney. In Common Dreams. During his State of the Union address on Tuesday, President Trump put Medicare For All in the crosshairs. Single-payer healthcare will bankrupt our nation by providing free taxpayer-funded healthcare to millions of legal aliens, he seized, forcing taxpayers to subsidize free care for anyone in the world who unlawfully crosses our borders. Like so many of the other claims in Trump's speech, this one was demonstrably false. If anything, the evidence suggests the immigrants actually subsidize healthcare systems, and it's time for advocates to push back. For proponents, the case is single payer is a fundamentally moral one. Healthcare should be a right. Everybody should be covered. Simple, simple, simple. This argument, however, is up against the rancorous rhetoric of the demagogic right, which not only is advancing dehumanizing narratives of exclusion, but also bolstering those narratives with factual inaccuracies. According to one CNN poll, some 59% of the American public is opposed to providing public coverage to the undocumented. Changing this opinion means overturning that right-wing narrative. To do so, we have to make the case that Trump's claim that all U.S. residents in a single-payer system will bankrupt it is wrong. A fundamental fact about financing healthcare for immigrants is that they are, compared to the native-born population, relatively young and therefore healthy. As a result, immigrants tend to use comparatively less healthcare, indeed too little, relative to those born in the U.S. At the same time, they still pay into the system, even undocumented immigrants. That's true. So precise numbers are hard to come by, but as Paul Vandewater of the Center on Budget and Policy Priorities has noted, undocumented immigrants were estimated to have contributed a net $12 billion into the Social Security system via payroll taxes back in 2007. Something similar plays out in healthcare, as two important studies led by my colleague Dr. Leah Zalman at Cambridge Health and Alliance and Harvard Medical School make clear in healthcare, immigrants subsidize the U.S. born. So next time you see someone saying, I'm paying for your healthcare, you Latino blank racial slur, say, you know what, actually, he's paying for yours, and then just slap them in the face. No, just I don't condone violence, but it's probably what they deserve. In a 2013 study in Health Affairs, Zalman and colleagues examined how much immigrants pay into the Medicare Trust Fund relative to how much Medicare spends on their health care. They found while immigrants paid some $33 billion in Medicare tax in 2009, they only used $19 billion in health services. In other words, they subsidize the trust fund to the tune of $14 billion. So they're putting a lot in, but not taking a lot out. So that is 33 billion minus 19 billion, 14 billion. So it's just quick maths right there. In a second study also published in Health Affairs, researchers turned to private insurance and similar picture emerged. Premium contributions from immigrants, including the undocumented, exceeded plans' outlays on immigrants' health care. In contrast, U.S.-born enrollees contributed less what they used in care, a deficit of $163 dollars per native-born person. So, yeah, they contributed less than what they use in care because they don't use. We use a lot more healthcare than immigrants, undocumented or or legal, including immigrants in an insurance system, in other words, makes it more actuarially sound. So immigrants subsidize U.S. natives in the private health insurance market, research concludes, because they are propping up Medicare trust funds. So that's very, very interesting. That's a key myth debunked right there that really propagates the right wing. It's probably going to be used a lot against Bernie Sanders when Medicare for All comes time to get up for a possible discussion. Like, oh, you want to give healthcare to every single illegal coming through this country? Not quite. Or actually, yes, quite, but it's not a bad thing. It's not going to bankrupt the country. So that's if I were you having any kind of discussion, I'd file that in the back of the old memory bank, the old memory cabinet there. So anyway, yeah, that is all the time we have for today. Please join us this Tuesday. We got a show coming up, a great live show for the New Hampshire primaries. Hope you enjoyed our show today. That's all the time we have. Thanks so much for listening.